Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev. So, till other devotees join, would anyone like to do some kirtan for 10 minutes?
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय राधा माधव राधे जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय वृंदावन धाम जय वृंदावन धाम जय वृंदावन धाम, वृंदावन धाम, वृंदावन धाम, जय वृंदावन धाम। जय जगन्नाथ, 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 जय जगन्नाथ। जय जगन्नाथ बलदेवा सुभद्रा, जय सुदर्शना। जय गौरानिताय, 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 जय गौरानिताय। जय गौरानिताय, 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 जय गौरानिताय। जय गौर 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 हरि, गौर 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 हरि। जय गौर 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 हरि, गौर 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 हरि। जय मायापुरवासी गौर हरि, नदिया बिहारी गौर हरि। जय मायापुरवासी गौर हरि, नदिया बिहारी गौर हरि। जय नित्यानंद प्राण धन गौर हरि, अद्वैत प्राण धन गौर हरि। जय नित्यानंद प्राण धन गौर हरि, अद्वैत प्राण धन गौर हरि। जय विष्णु प्रिया प्राण धन गौर हरि, जय शची माता प्राण धन गौर हरि। जय विष्णु प्रिया प्राण धन गौर हरि, शची माता प्राण धन गौर हरि। हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल। हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल। जय जय प्रभुपाद, 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद, 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। जय जय गुरुदेव, 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 जय जय गुरुदेव। जय जय गुरुदेव, 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 जय जय गुरुदेव। निताय गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल।
Jai. Thank you so much, Ashika Mataji, for that wonderful kirtan. So today being the last day of Purushottam Mass, I thought that we can um, read from Srimad Bhagavatam 5.12.1. Is there anyone who has joined by their laptop by any chance and can share the screen? Okay. I saw someone's hand. Yes, Nishika Mataji. Could you please share the screen? We can read from Srimad Bhagavatam 5.12.1.
रहुगना उवाच नमो नमः कारणा विग्रहाय स्वरूपतुच्छ्रितविग्रहाय नमो वधूता द्विजा बन्धुलिङ्गनिबोधा नित्यानुभाव्या तुभ्यम्. Translation. King Rahuguna said, O most exalted personality, you're not different from the supreme personality of Godhead. By the influence of your true self, all kinds of contradiction in the Shastras have been removed. In the dress of a friend of a Brahmin, you're hiding your transcendental blissful position. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. From the Brahm Samhita, we understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all causes, Sarv Karan Karanam. Shabradeva was the direct incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. His son, Bharat Maharaj, was now acting as the Brahman Jad Bharat had received his body from the cause of all causes. Therefore, he is addressed as Karana Vigraha. Okay. ज्वारामयर्तस्य यथा गधं सत् निधागः दग्धस्य यथा हिमाम्बः कुदेहा मना हि विदश्रितदृष्टे ब्रह्मान् वसचते मृतम् औषधं मे. Translation. O best of the Brahmanas, my body is filled with dirty things, and my vision has been bitten by the serpent of pride. Due to my material conceptions, I am diseased. Your nectarian instructions are the proper medicine for one suffering from such a fever, and they are cooling waters for one scorched by the heat. Purport. The conditioned soul has a body full of dirty things bones, blood, urine, stool, and so forth. Nonetheless, the most intelligent men in this material world think they are these combinations of blood, bone, urine, and stool. If this is so, why can't other intelligent men be made with these ingredients, which are so readily available? The entire world is going on under the bodily conception and creating a hellish condition unfit for any gentleman's living. The instructions given to King Rahuguna by Jad Bharat are very valuable. They're like the medicine that can save one from a snake bite. The Vedic instructions are like nectar and cool water for one suffering from the scorching heat. Okay. Tasmad तस्मद्भवन्तं मम समस्यार्थं प्रक्ष्यामि पाश्चात् अदहुना शुभोदम् अध्यात्मयोगग्रथितं तवोक्तम् आख्याहि कहुतहुलचेतसो मे. Translation. Whatever doubts I have about a particular subject matter, I shall ask you about later. For the time being, these mysterious yoga instructions you've given me for self realization appear very difficult to understand. Please repeat them in a simple way so that I can understand them. My mind is very inquisitive and I want to understand this clearly. Purport. The Vedic literature instructs Tasmad Gurum Prapadeta Jignashu Shreya Uttam. An intelligent man must be very inquisitive to know the transcendental science deeply. Therefore, one must approach a guru, a spiritual master. Although Jad Bharat explained everything to Maharaj Rahugana, it appears that his intelligence was not perfect enough to understand clearly. He therefore requested a further explanation, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.34, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena seva. The student must approach a spiritual master and surrender unto him fully. Pranipatena. He must also question him in order to understand his instruction. Pariprashnena. One should not only surrender to the spiritual master but also render loving service unto him, Savior, so that the spiritual master will be pleased with the student and explain the transcendental subject matter more clearly. A challenging spirit before the spiritual master should be avoided if one is at all interested in learning the Vedic instructions in depth. Hare Krishna. Uh, yat यद् अह योगेश्वरा दृश्यमानं क्रियाफलं सद् व्यवहारः मूलं न है अन्नज्जस्य तत्त्वविमर्शनान्यः भावम् अमुष्मिन् भ्रमते मनो मे. Translation. O master of yogic power, you said that fatigue resulting from moving the body here and there is appreciated by direct perception, but actually there is no fatigue. It simply exists as a matter of formality. By such inquiries and answers, no one can come to the conclusion of the absolute truth because of your presentation of this statement. My mind is little disturbed. Purport. Formal inquiries and answers about the bodily conceptions do not constitute knowledge of the absolute truth. Knowledge of the absolute truth is quite different from the formal understanding of bodily pains and pleasures. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna informs Arjun that the pains and pleasures experienced in relationship to the body are temporary. They come and go. One should not be disturbed by them, but should tolerate them and continue with spiritual realization. Okay. Um, Brahmana Vacha. I am Jano Nama Chalan पृथिवीव्यां या पार्थिवः पार्थिवाकाशहितो तस्यापि चन्द्रगृहयोरादिगुल्पः जङ्गः जानुर्मध्योरशिरोधरां सह अंशेध्रीदार्वी च यास्यं सौविराराजिते अपादेश आश्रिते यस्मिन् भावान् रुद्र निजाभिमानो रसामि सिन्धुष्व इति दुर्मदानन्दः. Translation. The self-realized Brahman, Jad Bharat said, among the various material combinations and permutations, there are various forms and earthly transformations. For some reason, these move on the surface of the earth are called palanquin carriers. Those material transformations which do not move are gross material objects like stones. In any case, the material body is made of earth and stone in the form of feet, ankles, calves, knees, thighs, torso, throat, and head. Upon the shoulders is the wooden palkin, and within the palkin is the so called king of uh, Shavira. The body of the king is simply another transformation of earth. But within that body, your lordship is situated, and falsely thinking that you are the king of the state of the Shavira. Purport. After analyzing the material bodies of the Palkin carrier and the Palkin passenger, Jad Bharat concludes that the real living force is the living entity. The living entity is the offshoot or offspring of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, within this material world, among moving and non moving things, the real principle is Lord Vishnu. Due to his presence, everything is working and there are actions and reactions. One who understands Lord Vishnu as the original cause of everything is to be understood to be perfectly situated in knowledge. Although he was falsely proud of being a king, King Rahugana was not really situated in knowledge. Therefore, he was rebuking the Palkin carrier, including the self realized Brahman Jad Bharat. This is the first accusation Jad Bharat made against the king, who was daring to talk to a learned Brahmin from the flimsy ground of ignorance, identifying everything with matter. King Rahugana argued that the living entity is within the body, and that when the body is fatigued, the living entity within must therefore be suffering. It is clearly explained in the following verse that the living entity does not suffer due to the body's fatigue. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti gives an example of a child heavily decorated with ornaments. Although the child's body is very delicate, he does not feel fatigue. Sorry, he does not. Where am I? Uh, flimsy ground, identifying everything with matter. It is clearly explained in the following verse that the living entity does not suffer due to the body's fatigue. Srila Vishwanath, thank you so much, Mataji. Okay. Uh, of a child heavily decorated with ornaments, although the child's body is very delicate, he does not feel fatigue, nor do the parents think that his ornaments should be taken away. The living entity has nothing to do with bodily pains and pleasures. These are simply mental concussions. An intelligent man will find the original cause of everything material combinations and permutations may be a matter of fact in worldly dealings, but actually the living force, the soul, has nothing to do with them. Those who are materially upset take care of the body and manufacture Dradya Narayana, poor Narayana. However, it is not a fact that the soul or super soul becomes poor simply because the body is poor. These are the statements of ignorant people. The soul and super soul are always apart from bodily pleasure and pain. So, Sochyan Imams Tvam, just a second. Socham Imanstam Adhikshastadinam Vishtaya Nigrahanan Niranugrahosi Janasya Goptashmi Viktahamano Na Shobhyase Vridha Sabhashau Drishtaha. Grishtaha. Translation. Just give me a second. It is a fact, however, that these innocent people carrying your palkin without payment are clearly suffering due to this injustice. Their condition is very lamentable because you have forcefully engaged them in carrying your palkin. This proves that you are cruel and unkind. Yet, due to false prestige, you were thinking that you're protecting the citizens. This is ludicrous. You were such a fool that you could not have been adored as a great man in an assembly of persons advanced in knowledge. Purport. King Rahuguna was proud of being king and he felt he had the right to control the citizens as he liked. But actually, he was engaging men in carrying his palkin without payment and therefore he was causing them trouble without reason. Nonetheless, the king was thinking that he was the protector of the citizens. Actually, the king should be the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For this reason, he is called Naradevata, the Lord among human beings. However, when a king thinks that because he is the head of the state, he can utilize citizens for his sense gratification, he is in error. Such an attitude is not appreciated by learned scholars. According to Vedic principles, the king should be advised by learned sages, brahmanas, and scholars who advise him according to the injunctions given in Dharma Shastra. The duty of king is to follow these instructions. Learned circles do not appreciate the king's utilizing public endeavor for his own benefit. His duty is to give protection to the citizens instead. The king should not become such a rogue that he exploits the citizens for his own benefit. It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that in Kali Yuga, the heads of government will be plunderers and thieves. These thieves and plunderers take the money and property of the public by force or convenience. Therefore, it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam Rajan Yer Nirgrahaner Dosho Dharma Bhi. As Kalyug advances, we can see that these characteristics are already visible. We can certainly imagine how deteriorated human civilization will be by the end of Kalyug, indeed. There will no longer be a sane man capable of understanding God and in our relationship with Him. In other words, human beings will be just like animals. At that time, in order to reform human society, Lord Krishna will come in the form of Kalki Avatar. His business will be to kill all the atheists because ultimately the real protector is Vishnu or Krishna. The Lord incarnates and set things in order when things are mismanaged by so called kings and heads of government. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bharata, of course, this takes many years, but the principle is there. When the king or governmental head does not follow the proper principles, nature deals out the punishments in forms of war, famine, or so forth. Therefore, if the government head is not aware of life's goal, he should not take charge of ruling the people. Actually, the supreme proprietor of everything is Lord Vishnu. He is the maintainer of everyone. The king, the father, and the guardian are simply representative of Lord Vishnu, empowered by him to look after the management and maintain things. It is therefore the duty of the head of the state to maintain the general populace in such a way that people will ultimately know the goal of life. Nate vidhu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. Unfortunately, the foolish government head and the general populace do not know that the ultimate goal of life is to understand and approach Lord Vishnu. Without this knowledge, everyone is in ignorance and all society is crowded with cheaters and cheated. Okay. यदा यदा शिवः एव चाराकरस्य विदमनिष्ठां प्रभवं च नित्यं तन्नामतोऽन्यद्व्यवहारमूलं निरूपयाक्तं तां सत् क्रियान्युमेयाम्. Translation. Um, all of us on the surface of the globe are living entities in different forms. Some of us are moving and some not moving. All of us come into existence, remain for some time, and are annihilated when the body is again mingled with the earth. We are all simply different transformations of the earth. Different bodies and capacities are simply transformation of the earth that exist in name only. For everything grows out of the earth, and when everything is annihilated, it again mingles with the earth. In other words, we are but dust, and we shall but be dust. Everyone can consider this point. Purport. In Brahm Sutra, it is stated Tad ananyatvam arabhambhana sat sapdadibhya 2.1.14. This cosmic manifestation is a mixture of matter and spirit, but the cause is the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.20, it is said, Idam hi visham bhagwan ivetraha. The entire cosmic manifestation is but a transformation of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because of illusion, no one can appreciate that God is non different from the material world. Actually, He is not different. But this material world is simply a transformation of His different energies. Parasya Shaktir Vividhavya Shruyate. There are also other versions of this in the Vedas. Sarvam Kalav Idam Brahma. Matters and spirit are all non different from the Supreme Brahman, Bhagwan. Lord Shri Krishna confirms this statement in the Bhagavad Gita 7.4. Me bhina praktir astada. The material energy is Krishna's energy, but it is separated from him. The spiritual energy is also his energy, but it is not separated from him. When the material energy is engaged in the service of the Supreme Spirit, so okay, so-called material energy is also transformed into spiritual energy. Just as an iron rod becomes fire when placed in contact with fire, When we can understand by an analytical study that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all causes, our knowledge is perfect. Simply understanding the transformations of different energies is partial knowledge. We must come to the ultimate cause, Nate Vidhu Swarth Gatim Hi Vishnu. The knowledge of those who are not interested in knowing the original cause of all emanations is never perfect knowledge. There is nothing in the phenomenon world that is not produced by the supreme energy of the supreme personality of Godhead. Aromas from the earth are different scents manufactured and used for different purposes. But the original cause is the earth, nothing else. A water pot made of earth can be used to carry water for some time, but ultimately the pot is nothing but earth. Therefore, there is no difference between the pot and its original ingredient, earth. It is simply a different transformation of the energy. Originally, the cause or primary ingredient is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the varieties are only byproducts. In Chandrogya Upanishad, it is stated, Yatha Sumne Ekena Mrit Pindena Sarvam Mranmayam Vinnatam Syad Vacharam Bhanam Vikaro Namadhyam Mritiketya eva satyam. If one studies the earth, he naturally understands that byproducts of the earth, the Vedas therefore enjoin yasmin vijnate sarvam evam vijnatam bhavati. Mundika Upanishad 1.3. If one simply understands the original cause Krishna, the cause of all causes, then naturally everything is understood. Although it may be presented in different varieties, by understanding the original cause of different varieties, one can understand everything. If we understand Krishna, the original cause of everything, we do not need to be separately study the subsidiary varieties. Therefore, from the very beginning, it is said, Satyam Param Dimahi. One has to concentrate one's understanding on the supreme truth, Krishna or Vasudev. The word Vasudev indicates the supreme personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all causes. Matsthani sarvabhutani na cham teshva avasthita. This is a summary of a phenomenal and nominal philosophy. The phenomenal world depends on the nominal existence. Similarly, everything exists by virtue of the potency of the Supreme Lord. Although, due to our ignorance, the Supreme Lord is not perceived in everything. Hmm. Evam, okay. एवं निरुक्तं श्रीसभावृतम् असन्निधानात् परमान्नवो ये अविद्याया मनसा कल्पितास्ते येषां समूहेन कृतो विशेषः. Translation. One may say that varieties arise from the planet Earth itself. However, although the universe may temporarily appear to be the truth, it ultimately has no real existence. The Earth was originally created by a combination of atomic particles, but these particles are impermanent. Actually, the atom is not the cause of the universe, although some philosophers think so. It is not a fact that the varieties found in this material world simply result from the atomic juxtaposition or combination. Purport. Those who follow the atomic theory think that the protons and the electrons of atoms combine in such a way as to bring all material existence into being. However, the scientists fail to discover the cause of atomic existence itself. Under these circumstances, we cannot accept that the atom is the cause of the universe. Such theories are advanced by unintelligent people. According to real intelligence, the real cause of the cosmic manifestation is the Supreme Lord. Adi Ashayatha, he is the original cause of all creation. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matha Sarvam Paravrat Paravartate. Krishna is the original cause. Sarva Karan Karanam, he is the cause of all causes. Krishna is the cause of atoms, the material energy. Bhumir Aponalo Yuhu Kaham Mano Buddhir Evacha Ahankara Itiyam Me Bhinna Prakritir Astadaha. The ultimate cause of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and only those in ignorance try to find out other causes by posing different theories. Okay. Evam Evam Krishna samsthilam anur brahadyad asach cha saj jivam ajivam anyat dravya swabhavashya kala karma nama na jayavehi kritam dvitiyam. Translation: since this universe has no real ultimate existence, the things within it, shortness, differences, grossness, skinniness, smallness, bigness, result, cause, living symptoms, and materials are all imagined. They are all pots made of the same substance, earth, but they are named differently. The differences are characterized by the substance, nature, predisposition, time, and activity. You should know that all these are simply mechanical manifestations created by material nature. Purport: the temporary manifestations and varieties within this material world are simply a creation of material nature under various circumstances. Prakrite kriya manani gunehi karmani sarvasha. The actions and reactions carried out by the material nature are sometimes accepted as our scientific inventions. Therefore, we want to take credit for them and defy the existence of God. This is described in Bhagavad Gita 3.27. Ahankara vimhuratma kartham iti manyate. Due to being covered by the illusionary external energy, the living entity tries to take credit for the differentiated creations within the material world. Actually, all these are being created automatically by the material force set in motion by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the ultimate cause is the Supreme Person, as stated in Brahm Samhita. ईश्वर परमा कृष्ण सच्चिदानंद विग्रहे अनादिर आदिर govinda sarva karan karanam. He is the cause of all causes, the ultimate cause. In this regard, Sri Madhvacharya says, evam sarvam tatha prakrya विकल्पितं विष्णोरन्नत् एवं प्रक्रियाधरः स्वयम् अनन् यदहरो विष्णुरेव अह सर्वशब्दश्च तस्मिन् एव. Actually, the original cause is Lord Vishnu. But out of ignorance, people think that the matter is the cause of everything. Uh, Raj, okay. Raj राजगोप्तश्रयो भूमिः सरनां चेति लौकिः व्य- व्यवहारो न तत् सत्यं त्योर्भ्रमाश्रयो विद्धु. Things are contemplated on the ephemeral or external platform, but actually, this is not the truth. The actual protector and shelter of everyone is Brahman, the Supreme, not the King. गोप्त्री च तस्य प्रकृष्टस्य विष्णु स्वयं प्रभु त्वगोप्त्री तु पृथ्वी न त्वं गोप्तास्ते संवृतः अथ सर्वश्रेयश्चैव गोपत च हरिरीश्वरः सर्वशब्दः हि देयश्च शब्दः वृतेर्हि कारणम्. सर्वत्रः सर्वबाहिर् Eka Eva Janardana, the actual protectors in the material nature, but Vishnu is her Lord. He is the Lord of everything. Lord Janardan is the director both externally and internally. He is the cause of the function of words and what is expressed in all sounds. शिरःशोधरत्र यद्यद् ग्रीवस्य तद्वद् एव तु आश्रयत्वं च गोप्तृत्वम् अन्येषाम् उपचारतः. Lord Vishnu is the resting place of the entire creation. Brahmano hi pratishthana. Pratishtaham. Bhagavad Gita 14.27. On Brahman, everything is resting. All the universe are resting on the Brahmjyoti, and all the planets are resting on the universal atmosphere. In each and every planet, there are oceans, hills, states, and kingdoms, and each planet is giving shelter to so many living entities. They are all standing on the earth of feet and legs and torso and shoulders, but actually everything is resting ultimately on the potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is known ultimately as Sarvakaran Karanam, the cause of all causes.
Mataji, you can read till the 12th verse and then stop.
Okay, Prabhuji. Jnanam Vishuddham Paramartham Ekam Anantaram Tva Ahabhir Satyam Pratyak Prashantam Bhagavach Badaha Samjanam Yad Vasudevam Kayatvo Vadanti. Translation. What then is the ultimate truth? The answer is that non dual knowledge is the ultimate truth. It is devoid of the contamination of material qualities. It gives us liberation. It is the one without a second, all pervading and beyond imagination. The first realization of that knowledge is Brahman. Then Paramatma, the supersoul, is realized by the yogis who try to see him without grievances. This is the second stage of realization. Finally, full realization of the same supreme knowledge is realized in the Supreme Person. All learned scholars describe the Supreme Person as Vasudev, the cause of Brahman, Paramatma, and others. Purport. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Yad Advaitam Brahmopanishadi Tad Apai Asya Tanubha. The impersonal Brahman, effulgence of the absolute truth, consists of the bodily rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ya Atman Taryami Purusha iti so Syamsha Vibhavaha. What is known as Atma and Antaryami, the Super Soul, is but an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sad Aishwarya Purno Ya Iha Bhagwan Sa Swayam Aha Ayam. What is described as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, complete with all six opulences, is Vasudev. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non different from him. Great learned scholars and philosophers accept this after many, many births. Vasudev Sarvam Iti Sa Mahatma Sudhurlabha, Bhagavad Gita 7.19. The wise man can understand that ultimately Vasudev Krishna is the cause of Brahman and Paramatma, the Supersoul. Thus, Vasudev is Sarvakaran Karanam, the cause of all causes. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. The real Tattva, absolute truth, is Bhagwan. But due to incomplete realization of the absolute truth, people sometimes describe the same Vishnu as impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yaj jnanam advayam brahmeti pramatmeti bhagavana iti shabdayete. Bhagavatam 1.2.11. From the very beginning, Srimad Bhagavatam says, Satyam Param Dhimahi. We meditate on the Supreme Truth. The Supreme Truth is explained here as Janma Jananam Vishuddham Satyam. The absolute truth is devoid of material contamination and is transcendental to the material qualities. It gives all spiritual success and liberation from this material world. The supreme absolute truth is Krishna, Vasudev. There is no difference between Krishna's inner self and outward body. Krishna is Purna, the complete whole. There is no distinction between his body and soul as there is between ours. Sometimes so called scholars, not knowing the constitutional position of Krishna, mislead people by saying that the Krishna within is different from the Krishna without. When Krishna says, Mam manabhav mad bhakto mad yaji mam Namishkuru, so called scholars advise the reader that it is not the person Krishna to whom we must surrender, but the Krishna within. So called scholars, Mayavadis, cannot understand Krishna with their poor fund of knowledge. One should therefore approach an authorized person to understand Krishna. The Supreme Master has actually seen Krishna, therefore, he can explain him properly. तद्विधि प्राणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवः उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते जन्मं जन्यासि तत्त्वदर्शिनः. Bhagavad Gita 4.34. Without approaching an authorized person, one cannot understand Krishna. Rahu, Rahu, Rahu,
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Sorry, Nishika Mataji.
No.
So, Panchani Prabhu,
Yes.
sorry, Prabhu.
Yes, Praji, please tell me.
So, we are reading through certain chapters, or sorry, I just started to
We
barge
are
in.
just finishing with this verse, Praji, because this verse is important, and then we'll have
Okay,
the realization and a diary chapter.
done. Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Praji.
Please continue.
Thank you, Mataji. Rahugnati tat tapsya na yati na che या निर्वापनाद्गृहद्वा न चान्दाशनेव जलाग्निसूर्यैर्विना महत्पदोरजोऽभिषेकम्. Translation. Just a second. My dear King Rahuguna, unless one has the opportunity to smear his entire body with the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, one cannot realize the absolute truth. One cannot realize the absolute truth simply by observing celibacy, brahmacharya, strictly following the rules and regulations of household life, leaving home as a vanaprasth, accepting sannyas, or undergoing severe penances in winter by keeping oneself submerged in water or surrounding oneself in summer by fire and the scorching heat of the sun. There are many other processes to understand the absolute truth, but the absolute truth is only revealed to one who has attained the mercy of a great devotee. Purport. Actual knowledge of transcendental bliss can be bestowed upon anyone by a pure devotee. Vedushu durlabham atma bhaktau. One cannot attain the perfection of spiritual life simply by following the directions of the Vedas. One has to approach a pure devotee. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadya anarvratam. By the grace of such a devotee, one can understand the absolute truth, Krishna, and one's relationship with him. A materialistic person sometimes thinks that simply by executing pious activities and remaining at home, one can understand the absolute truth. That is denied in this verse. Nor can one understand the absolute truth simply by observing the rules and regulations of brahmacharya, celibacy. One has to serve the pure devotee. That will help one understand the absolute truth without fail. Hi, Krishna. I'm so sorry for my Sanskrit, but thank you for the opportunity. Hi, Krishna.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Mataji, for reading the verses so beautifully, um, with the purport. So, yeah. Now, would devotees like to share their realizations about this series of verses? Actually, although it seems like this conversation or these series of verses are starting from the basics, it is always a good thing to revise what actually the goal of our life should be. So, in these instructions, we are actually seeing in Srimad Bhagavatam that how the flow of these instructions goes on, that how you should approach the spiritual master. You should not approach the spiritual master in a challenging spirit, but in a submissive way. And then how the supreme personality of Godhead is pleased. And then coming to this verse, which is the conclusion of we can say our devotional service is to render service to the spiritual master or a pure devotee. In the entire duration of the Purushottam Mass, many devotees, including me, we have taken vows. We might have done lots of services, but sometimes, due to our own, we can say, ego, pride, or the qualities in us, we feel that, oh, I have taken this vow, I completed this, now Krishna will be pleased. But we actually cannot please Krishna through our penances or sacrifices or our vows or something like that. So clearly, Bhagavatam is stating over here that when you approach a pure devotee, when you ask instructions in the mood tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya, and when you serve the pure devotee, that is what is the qualification to get the mercy of the Lord. So that's why I thought we should meditate on these verses. So please, I would like other devotees to also share their realizations.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dhanavad Pranam, everybody. Dhanavad Pranam to all the devotees. So, just two small realizations while we were reading these verses. One was that we get whenever we accomplish materially. So we start thinking too high about ourselves. And however, the verses that we just read emphasize that however materially successful, like in case of the king Rahuguna, he was treating all the people not with a very sane attitude. Unless we are situated in the right knowledge, neither we can do good to ourselves nor to the others. So at every stage we need to keep reminding ourselves of our constitutional position as the servant of the Lord, servant of the spiritual master, and stay keep going back to to the right knowledge that we have to be situated in. Otherwise we'll never be able to uh, get past this the ego, or whatever you can say, all the negative qualities that we have, and we'll never be able to succeed in our spiritual journey. Second is, like you said, Prabhuji, that sometimes we take these vows and we do services, so that also fills us up with so much of ahankar. So I was hearing one of the lectures where they said, like Nirjala Ekadashi is coming. So the mood to do the Ekadashi should be, very, very proper. Because when we do a actual proper Nirjala fast, so sometimes we go on to other devotees because we want at least few people to know that I'm keeping a complete Nirjala. So at one end we are starving and we are fasting even from water. But when we try to ask ki, okay, are you doing nirjala, or in the end when we open fast in the morning, then we go out and sing it to our friends that it was tough or it was easy. So in a way we want the people to know. So we are fasting from the body, but we are feeding the ego. While we are fasting, we continue to feed our ego. So ultimate purpose of that fast is defeated. So we really have to be in the right mood. And like you also concluded in the end, that it's only and only by serving pure devotees that we can get rid of these anarthas, of these all these hidden, or what you can say, very subtle negative qualities of pride, ego, criticism. And only then we can develop humility, and with the mercy of Gurudev we can move forward in our spiritual journey. So this was what I wanted to share, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheetal Mataji, for your realizations. Anyone else would like to share? Okay. I was also thinking about 2 points. Um, first point being that in this conversation of Rahuguna and Jadbharat, there comes the mention that how a king should actually treat his kingdom, his subjects, or the people he is ruling upon. So now that in the present age we have democracy, we actually don't have any kings. But if we try to think from the perspective that a man is the king of his house, and then when he goes to the office, all of us in our offices might be at some position that we might have some employees under us like interns, or maybe if we are at a managerial position, we have certain employees whom like they are responsible to answer to us. So not in an ideal way, but kind of they are like our subjects. So it is our duty to make sure that we treat them in such a way that they feel protected, they feel cherished in that environment, and indirectly somehow we give them Krishna, even if directly they don't want to accept Krishna consciousness, but somehow by giving them prasad, or just talking about some philosophy but in a very diluted way, we can actually attract them to Krishna, and we can become compassionate over them. Because first, sometimes we just forget to become a human, and we just try to think that oh, maybe this is the job, or this is the duty of this person, they should do it. But sometimes we don't show that much compassion over them. So in that way, we should also think from that perspective that if we show compassion towards other souls, they will be more receptive towards Krishna consciousness. So that is one point I wanted to share. So if devotees allow, we would move on to the next uh, activity. Yes, Moleshwari Mataji, you want to say something?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I just raised hand to read the daily chapter, if I'm allowed. Yeah.
Yes, yes, Mataji, please. So I have shared the diary chapter link which we want to read today on the group, Troopers group. Nishika Mataji, is it possible for you to share the screen? Yeah. So the diary chapter is a dream come true. So yes, Mataji, please continue.
Okay. Volume 15, Chapter 21, A Dream Come True by Indrajimna Swami, July 18, 2023. My favorite time of the year was just around the corner, our annual summer festival tour in Poland. When the Polish festival tour began 22 years ago, I was a young man, but now at 74 years old, I readied myself for the months of travel ahead by traveling long walks in the forest and getting much extra rest as I could. I was determined to soldier on. But just days before our first festival of Poland, I developed a terrible toothache. I knew that my toothache was in bad condition. I have a disciple, Dhanmantri Dasa, who is a dentist, and he had cautioned me that the tooth needed attention. I had not heeded his warning. It's major work, he said when I called him. You best come to my clinic as soon as you can. The next morning, I was on the cheap Wizz Air flight from London to Skopje, the capital of Macedonia. Upon arrival, I went straight to Dhanvantri's clinic, where he worked on the damaged tooth and several others as well. I remember I remember him asking me to open my mouth wider. And then 2 hours later, I woke up just as he finished the initial work. Smiling, Dhanvantri said, well, that's the first time I have ever had a patient sleep through an entire appointment. You can get some good rest while I fix your teeth. By the way, do you know the meaning of Skopje or capital? No, I replied. What does Skopje mean? It dates back many centuries, Dhanvantri said. It means the place where soldiers recuperate. Hearing that, I smiled and said, I was going to soldier on, but perhaps Krishna had other plans for me. I'll rest as much as I can while I am here. A week later, I flew from Skopje to Berlin, well rested and with my teeth looking like new. We had arranged that my student Guru Kripa Dasa would meet me in Berlin and drive me over the border to the first festival in Poland. During the flight, the passenger sitting next to me noticed I was chanting Hare Krishna on my beats. Are you Buddhist? She asked with curiosity. No, I am from the Hare Krishna movement, I replied. Oh, I have always wanted to talk to a Hare Krishna, she said eagerly. We talked, and towards the end of the flight, she asked me an interesting question. Do you believe in miracles? I'm going to answer that in a way that might seem unusual, I said. I have helped organize a festival event in Poland consistently for the last 32 years. It's called the Festival of India, wherein we introduce people to the spiritual culture of India through theatre, dance, music, yoga, meditation, philosophy, and fine cuisine. It's a family event that attracts thousands of people each day throughout July and August. That sounds very interesting, she said. But this year we met with many major obstacles, I said. Our manpower has been drastically curtailed by war and conflict. Our finances have also been depleted by inflation and higher prices in countries where our donors live. I put out an appeal for more devotees to join us in running the festival. But things are so uncertain in the world right now that not many people committed to coming to Poland to help. As for money, I could only pray. Nevertheless, we decided to depend on God and made plans to go ahead. To our surprise and relief, 145 devotees showed up last week on the first day of festival preparations, some with significant donations. To me, this is truly a miracle. God bless, the lady said. Upon arrival in Berlin, I mentioned to Guru Kripa how eager I was to meet the devotees who had sacrificed their summer to help us hold our public festivals. They are also eager to meet you, he said. 4 hours later, we approached the festival site, where devotees were making final preparations for the event to begin. As I stepped out of the van, my emotions were running deep in gratitude for all those who had stepped forward to help. As I saw them coming running towards me, I remembered a pastime in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita which resonated with my heart at that moment. One year when devotees from Navadvip were arriving in Jagannath Puri for the annual Ratha Yatra parade, the King Maharaj Prataparutra wanted to see the great souls amongst them. So he stood on the roof of his palace and asked the devotee named Gopinatha Acharya to identify each and every devotee. As the devotees came forward, Gopinatha Acharya said, "Here are Srivasa Pandita, Vakreshwara Pandita, Vidyanidhi Acharya, Gadadhara Pandita. Here are Acharya Ratna, Purandara Pandita, Gangadasa Pandita, and Shankara Pandita. Here are Murari Gupta, Pandita Narayana, and Aridasa Thakura, the deliverer of the whole universe. Here is Aribhatta, and there is Narasimhananda. Here are Vasudeva Datta and Shivananda Sena. So, in a similar way, in my eagerness to be introduced to the many new devotees as well as to reunite with the veterans who had joined us this summer, I asked Guru Kripa to identify them as they approached. He said, Gurudeva, look, there is your Dvijavara, who has been in charge of our sound system for the last 20 years, and walking with him is Swalakshana, his faithful wife. Just behind them was Jayatam Das, our main tour manager. And see over there is Nityananda Charan, who can fix anything that breaks down. And walking quickly next to him is a new couple from Lithuania who immediately volunteered for kitchen duty. Behind them is a brahmachari from India who helps Radha Shamadasa with collecting the garbage. And here comes Shameshwara Prema from the USA. She stars in several of our theatrical productions. In this way, Guru Kripa introduced devotee after devotee who were carrying on the work of those great souls identified by Gopinatha Acharya at the famous Rath Yatra. For this, these devotees deserved my full love and gratitude. From this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. William Shakespeare, Entry 5. Soon our festival site filled with large crowd eager to experience the wonderful world of Krishna consciousness. Walking around the festival, I noticed that we were missing some of the tents we usually had. Catching Jayatam, I asked where the other tents were. His reply was simple and to the point. Although we are lucky to have had devotees join us this summer, we still have a skeleton crew. Many devotees are doing the work of 4 people, but don't worry, Gurudeva, we will manage. Once again, my gratitude soared for those who had come to serve. 2 hours later, it was time for me to deliver my talk from the main stage. I reflected on the fact that I was representing an entire disciplic succession of eternally liberated souls, great acharyas who had envisioned the time when the teaching of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be shared with the greater populations of the world, as I had done literally thousands of times over the decades. I prayed for their mercy as I walked onto the stage. When I finished my talk, I offered to sign any of Srila Prabhupada's book that people purchased from our book tent. By the time I descended the stage stairs, there was a line of people with newly acquired Bhagavad Gitas. People please could you sign this book for my daughter? Asked one lady. She will be fascinated. Sure, I replied. I wrote, may the wisdom of the Gita inspire you on your spiritual journey back home to the spiritual world, and where every step is a dance, every word is a song, and there is a festival every day. Then I signed and dated the note. The next woman in the line didn't have a book in her hand. Would you like a Bhagavad Gita? I asked. No, she replied. You may not remember, but I bought one from you 30 years ago at one of your first festivals. I have read it many times and it helped me immensely in my life. I have given up so many of my bad habits. I have a faded photo of you and me together at the festival on the wall in my living room. I often look at this picture for inspiration when I am reading the Gita. I just wanted to ask some questions which I have from my studies. I was in the process of answering her questions when the First Lady returned, obviously anxious to speak to me. She had a second Bhagavad Gita in her hand. I bought another Bhagavad Gita because I have twin daughters, she replied. You know how siblings are. If they don't get equal attention, there can be fireworks. Can you please sign this book too? Next in the line was a gentleman who began by thanking me. I loved your talk, he said. I wrote down everything you said, especially your points about how God is a person. My wife is an atheist, and we have fought for 20 years about the existence of God. I have run out of arguments, but now I have real ammunition in this book. Surely I will come out victorious now. Finally, a husband and wife approached with their teenager daughter, who was holding a Bhagavad Gita tightly to her chest. Some years ago at your festival, she began. My father bought this book. Last year, when we attended, my mother bought it. Now it's my turn. Father said, I'm old enough to understand it. After signing several more Bhagavad Gitas, I sat to watch her theatre group perform the Ramayana on stage. It's actually a crowd pleaser because the devotees have perfected the performance over many years. It's both highly professional and devotional at the same time. A number of devotees are ballet dancers with many years of experience. Others have gone to acting school. When the drama finished, the audience erupted into a rousing applause. As I sat watching their enthusiastic appreciation, my thoughts traveled back to a performance of Bhagavad Mahabharata that I had attended on July 7, 1985. Directed by internationally acclaimed theatre director Peter Brook, the Mahabharata was enacted on a stage in a stone quarry just outside Avignon, France, by a cast comprised of 21 performers from 16 countries. The performance was 10 years in making and went on to tour around the world. That day in July, I was out on Sankirtan with seven brahmacharis when we heard about the event. Curious, we managed to meet Mr. Brook and give him a Bhagavad Gita. In exchange, to show his gratitude, he gave us 8 free tickets to his show. On the morning of the event, we held our own little festival in a small hall in town. 20 people attended. We had a short kirtan, gave a 20-minute lecture, and performed a small skit entitled Bird in the Cage. Afterwards, we gave out simply wonderful sweets to the 9 guests who had stayed until the end. When we arrived at Petersburg's event that evening, we were stunned to find over 1,000 guests. Everyone was miling out, dressed in fine clothes, eager for the theatrical performance to begin. We certainly turned a few heads when we sat down in the stands with our shaved heads and bright saffron dhotis. We were as mystified as everyone else with the amazing performance that evening, the acting, the costumes, and the live music. When the 5 hour performance ended, it was met with a thunderous applause. I sat spellbound by the magnitude and the success of the drama, especially considering that it was presenting Vedic culture. As we got up to leave, one of the brahmacharis asked me, Maharaja, what do you think of it all? I thought it was incredible, I replied. I feel inspired to do something like that for Srila Prabhupada. One day, one day I would like to present Krishna consciousness like we saw tonight. Something like the large cultural event with theatre, music, and dance. The brahmachari looked surprised and glanced around at the rest of our party. Then they burst into laughter. Right, 1,000 people will come to see our little bird in the cage skit. One boy said, and your 20-minute lecture, he continued, you're dreaming. Another boy quipped, Maybe they will all come for a simply wonderful sweets. With that, they laughed even harder. Listen, you guys, I said, I'm talking about something really grand. It's possible. Dreams do come true in Krishna consciousness, and we should dream big. We can do big things for Srila Prabhupada. Dream on, the first brahmachari said. It's late, we are tired, and we have to get up tomorrow and distribute books. The astounding applause of the audience broke my meditation and brought me back to our festival. As the closing music of the drama echoed through the air, our talented actors gracefully descended from the stage. A large portion of the crowd rushed forward, jostling to stand next to them with their colorful costumes as their family members took pictures. It was a beautiful exchange between the actors and the audience, the vibrant tapestry of laughter, chatter, and appreciation. Then a small break was announced to set up the stage for another performance. I saw people streaming toward our restaurant, forming a long line to buy prasadam. Another scurried off to the gift shop, and the number of ladies approached a fashion tent to try on a sari. The whole atmosphere was bustling with activity. But as soon as the stage performance resumed, everyone hurriedly returned to their seats. Standing there watching the large crowd's enthusiasm for all had to offer, I smiled and said softly to myself, dreams do come true. The Ratha Yatra procession, with with its 350-foot tall carts, began to grand army. Plaza on Fifth Avenue and proceeded downward. Young men, girls in sari, Indians, New Yorkers, hundreds tugged at the ropes, pulling the gigantic chariots. With silken towers billowing yellow, green, red, and blue in the winds, slowly and majestically the carts sailed south. The parade was complete with beautiful weather, hundreds of chanting and dancing devotees, and thousands of onlookers. And the route was some 50 blocks down Fifth Avenue, the most important street in the world, to Washington Square Park. It was gorgeous, appropriate climax to Srila Prabhupada's 10 years of preaching in New York City. When he had first come, he had no money, no place of his own to live, and no place for people to congregate and hear about Krishna. Now he was riding in splendor down Fifth Avenue at the Ratha Yatra festival, and his Radha Govinda deities had a skyscraper. In 1965, he had been alone on the street, but now he had accompanied by 600 disciples, loudly chanting the holy names and benefiting millions of conditioned souls. Srila Prabhupada said, it was like a dream come true. Srila Prabhupada, Leelamrita, chapter 50. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for reading that diary chapter. Jai. Would anyone like to share their realizations of this chapter? So, I actually personally found this chapter to be very interesting. Of course, like Prabhupada always used to say, कि any chapter from Krishna book is wonderful because Krishna book Prabhupada compared to it as a laddu or a sweet. So you bite anywhere or you read any chapter, it is sweet. So same thing is there with um, Srila Gurudev's diaries. Vijay Narasimha Prabhu, Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. You complete, Prabhu. You are saying something?
Yes, Prabhu, means I just wanted to say that this chapter was so wonderful. Like initially, Gurudev painted the entire picture, and I could see, like, even for Kartik Parikrama and all other programs which Gurudev is hosting, he's so grateful to his disciples, whoever comes ahead. And Gurudev is personally, for even the Rishikesh Fest, when we have the call with Gurudev, Gurudev personally is encouraging all of us to um, help him serve this mission of Srila Prabhupada. So it is like a father has his business. तो अभी अगर वो फादर का बिजनेस बेटा नहीं संभालेगा या उनकी बेटी नहीं संभालेगी तो कौन संभालेगा? इट्स लाइक पड़ोसी आके तो संभालने नहीं वाला है. So similarly, we have so many projects for Srila Gurudev, and we need disciples of Gurudev, aspiring disciples of Gurudev, to carry on with this mission. So, we can see that how grateful Gurudev is to his disciples who are sacrificing and giving their life and blood to this mission. And then how initially in 1985, Gurudev was with a bunch of devotees and he had a vision that he wants to take these festivals on a very big scale. And they all laugh practically to at Gurudev's idea. But just the desire Gurudev had, and then that desire is now manifesting as the Polish tour. So similarly, it's very important for all of us to keep that strong desire. Sometimes we might not have the resources, we might not have um, the conditions, the circumstances to do something for Gurudev. Maybe to even attend Kartik Parikrama, maybe to even attend Vyas Puja or the book tour. But if we strongly desire, Krishna sees our desire and he sees that this guy or this girl is not desiring for something materialistic. वो लोग कुछ spiritual मांग रहे हैं. So if our desire is strong, so Krishna manifests that desire practically in front of us, and somehow Krishna arranges things in a certain way ki that desire gets fulfilled. So personally, my life has been like that. I always desired, and then I came for parikrama, and then I just got hooked up. And every single year, somehow Krishna, although we don't have the qualification to enter Vrindavan, he brings us, and we get this opportunity to understand Vrindavan, to understand what Krishna is, what Radharani is, with such a wonderful God family. So this desire brought us to this material world. We wanted to enjoy separately, and this desire itself will take us back home, back to Godhead. So that was my realization from this diary chapter. Yes, Proji, please continue.
Jay. Um, Beautiful thought, bro. Uh, has anyone read, I mean, heard the word chasing the rhino?
Yes, Proji, it is a book
Can,
by Sham Sundar
yeah,
Prabhu.
right. So, okay. Other than you, can anyone tell me what is the concept? Can anyone just unmute and say, just like one liner?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji didn't reply. Just guessing, um,
Yes.
doing the impossible or trying to do something impossible.
Hmm. Very true. Very true. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Abhishek, Prabhu. Yeah. So,
Also, one more thing
as
in that,
yes, Prabhu,
probably I'd
go
like
ahead.
to,
Mm-hmm.
if we chase a rhino, then everyone will applaud, and if we don't, then
Mm-hmm.
no problem. Nobody will criticize us because we
Yes.
are trying something new.
Yes. 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 So that's the most beautiful part. It's like, I just it's like I was trying to hunt for a rhino, and that's an impossible task anyway. So if you fail, nobody cares. But if you succeed, um, you know, y- like the world, you are in the spotlight. So that's and so how that relates again is like Srila Gurudev tries to do something really big. So anytime he does it really big. Um, so we were recently at Sadhu Sangha retreat. Um, we will, okay, regarding the topic of Sadhu Sangha retreat, actually, Pancharan Prabhu wanted to have the realizations this week, but these guys go and Charan Prabhu and Rasika Mataji, they're at the wedding function this weekend, so we couldn't get them. So we hopefully we'll do with that later. But this is my first time there, and there were some of our troopers from India there this time. Like uh, this is like you can easily say this is like um, the biggest gathering of devotees in this continent, in this part of the continent. Okay, so it really was like a massive thing. Like, so it is uh, like a 30-floor hotel, few hundreds of rooms, and like it's Hayat, right? So you like we here Hayat would be like like a 7-star or 5-star, wherever you see. So we had taken over the entire building in downtown, entire building for 3 days, little more than 3 days before and after. Devotees coming in and so entire building is in from their basement up to the terrace. So in between is like there are halls, there are rooms for devotees, there are different halls where we do functions and gatherings, like multiple programs, parallel programs going on. Then there is kitchen. Okay, there are several kitchens, not just one kitchen. There are multiple kitchens. So for baking there is separate, for cooking there is separate. For there are several cold storages. There are coolers and chillers, and they're like not like just you like a fridge. Like they are walk-in. You just walk in and then there is basement, like large trucks. I've seen them. I've not seen them that close, like never entered. So these are freezers. So these trucks are freezers. Okay, you have to. Um, there is diesel based, freezer running all the time. They're like they're containers. Like you have perishable items in those trucks. So and they're docked at the basement, and we see them like we go to big stores like Costco, Walmart. So we see them from outside, from far distance. The first time I entered uh, some of those, so they are coming in, docking, and unloading uh, mass, uh, large quantities of groceries, or vegetables, fruits, and whatnot, milk products, like literally as though we're going to start some store operations. It's like huge, massive. So we'll go into the full details later, but this is extremely overwhelming for a first timer. It's like uh, Prabhu asked me, this is your first time mention Prabhu. This is first time, just um, spend all your time in the Kirtan hall. But it was so intriguing and so overwhelming. We arrived there like 3 days earlier, and that was good. Like uh, all the preparation work, we could actually witness. Um, like I was entering these large trucks. They're like easily, 40 feet in length, and they're really wide, and they're like totally freezing inside. And then you have to use some machinery to pick. They're like large crates, packed in some wooden crates. Okay, like uh, grocery or vegetables, and then you have to use some machinery to lift it and bring it out, and then take it to large lift and then move it around. It was like literally it felt so empowering physically to do all that stuff. I mean, in US you have machinery to do a lot of things. So, but you feel, extended yourself, physically extended to those machinery. So you feel so empowered. Uh, Amazing experience. And all of this, and all these um, details are happening, in the core. And you come to, there are different floors. So you come to second and third floor, there is just devotees enjoying. Okay. Like having their third level, there is Kirtan, and second level, second level, there is Kirtan, third level, there is prasadam arrangements. And so there are these lifts, uh, amazing lifts. It's like, yeah, that we'll talk about later, but it is. So so the whole idea is to ensure like nearly 4,000 devotees, to ensure that these devotees just enjoy Kirtan. Okay. The whole idea is they all come Katha Kirtan, Katha Kirtan, Katha Kirtan from morning Mangalati program up to 10:30, which usually would go up to 11, 11:15 types. Okay. So, and every time it is dancing Kirtan, it's like when there is no Katha, there is Kirtan, it starts within half an hour, um, like full swing dancing Kirtan. And all they do is just come out and have um, the kind of fees they will have to pay at least, like, you know, per meal, it should be like really, in India, I would say like per meal, it will be like easily some 3,000 to 5,000. So, that, they literally enjoy, like, be it breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So, it would be uh, like very rich, okay, in the varieties, and rich in terms of, like, you have Indian choice, you have continental, literally, like South American, North American, European mostly. So there is so much variety, and then Indian, of course. And yeah, and so all this, just by one thought, that uh, it has to be done really big, right? So, and it is just one thought that um, the devotees have to come together, okay, uh, and participate, right? So, it is just that one thought. So, um, all of this evolved because of that one thought. The, something has to be done this big. Yeah, and each time it's like we have lot of volunteers as well. Um, like be it cooking, be it cutting vegetables. We cut so many chilies that there's like huge hall. Okay, so many chilies we cut. I mean, these are called jalapeno. You'd have heard. In our own times, we call it jalapeno, right? So, so these are the South American chilies. So we cut so many chilies that the hall in which we cut, so uh, it was smelling like it was feeling pungent for 3 days. So not 3 days, but at least 2 days. It was so. I mean, you have to be here to literally feel the magnitude. And wherever you come out, you have devotees walking all over the downtown, like dhoti kurta, and children, elders, uh, families. So, so all the signals, all the streets, you're seeing like literally. I mean, this whole thing would have been foreign to so many people around. Like mostly, I mean, I see a mix of white and African American population there. So for all of them, this is. I mean, they did not know who these people wearing, some long clothes like this, white clothes, then roaming around. So yeah, now they know who these people are. So, I mean, it so now it is what 13, 14 years now since the Satsanga retreat began, and it is literally just increasing in size. Like each time the current building will not suit uh, the next year's program. Each time it is like that. You just cannot rent the last year's property for the next year's program because it just grows by 20-30%. And the current whatever we rented, it was already overflowing. So we had to rent a couple of buildings in the neighborhood. Couple of there Holiday Inn buildings, couple of them where devotees were staying. So already it is overflowing. Yeah. So uh, think of this. Okay. Think of this. See. Okay. I think it's late. Is it? I see. Okay. Some devotees have left. Okay. Should we talk about it next week, Anjane Prabhu? I think it's 10 o'clock already. Am I audible?
Prabhu, next week, the Pune troopers have a Vyas Puja
Next Sunday?
next Sunday,
Oh, okay. 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 Yeah.
Pune and Mumbai. So I don't know where's Anjanya
Okay.
Prabhu.
Mhm. Maybe he has just stepped out. Okay. No worries. I think we'll talk about it. I see there are few important things along with this, which I wanted to discuss. Um, Ideally, um, yeah, maybe we'll plan something and then bring it out. This was quite random and spontaneous from my side. Um, so let's um, talk about it next week, next or following week. But one thing that I was just relating to this whole discussion, just to conclude quickly, is that uh, all of us um, have to, I mean, first, unless we think or dream big, right? Unless we dream big, nothing can happen. I mean, mm, most of the things that have been invented um, in this uh, world have, like, most of the time they would have been given up as as a nuisance, right? Those ideas might have looked really foolish, okay, at the outset when the whole thought was conceived. But without having those wild, crazy thoughts or dreams, um, you can't bring out the best. Uh, it could be within you or within from other people, right? So there are, like, different types of people. One who can um, uh, so you can there are dreamers who can think, and then there are people who can grow it, okay, and then those who can maintain it. So what happens is, when we get into something really big, there are devotees who will join at a later time, who will actually make those things happen. Okay, so basically, it is we think that we have to do it, right? So the whole thing about Krishna consciousness is that you just start, and if Lord sees that there is purity in the purpose, that then Lord sends empowerment and empower devotees to make that happen. So if uh, I can start thinking, ki, okay, tomorrow that um, let's say I want to take over, organize a huge feast at White House, okay, or a huge feast at Parliament building in Delhi. Okay. So, I mean, uh, Kirtan and feast at Parliament, right? So it might look really crazy, but who knows? After 10 years, it might even happen. But thinking or dreaming such things, what's wrong? Why can't we dream such things? Yeah, right? So, how that will actually manifest? Lord will have a plan, and we just have to be a part of that plan. It is up to us whether we are part of that plan or not. It's your choice, and if the Lord wants to do it, you like it or not, it will happen. And you want to be in the party, yeah, yeah, then just jump in. So as simple as that. So okay, uh, we'll discuss with presence of more devotees. Yeah. So let me just conclude it over there. Okay. Thank you very much. Vaishnava Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnava Ki Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Gurudev Ki Jai.